Hey, what's going on, guys? I was just listening to David Duke, and in case you guys don't know who he is the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. One of the Grand Wizards, one of the big leaders, tried and true, educated elites, if you will, of the Ku Klux Klan. When I was maybe 25, 26, I watched a video he had. In that video, David Duke was worried about the minority of the white man. Worried that the white man became 60% of the entire U.S. population, and felt that there was something that needed to be done or before they become extinct in the United States of America. Thing about David Duke is his information is a little bit off. You see, just in Alabama, when slavery became illegal, they ramped it up to where there were over 4 million or 400 million, some ridiculous number of black slaves in Alabama alone. One man owned millions of slaves. Now, this was a big production thing for them because of the fact that slavery, they couldn't get any slaves from Africa anymore, from the source. Millions upon millions and millions of slaves died. Millions upon millions were brought into America. And West Indies, from Africa, they say, but we know that Africa is a lot bigger than what people claim it is. Anywho, but the West Indies, you have Haiti, Jamaica, and Antigua were the major import-export locations. A lot of slaves were purchased from there. A lot of people from the West Indies own plantations in the U.S. Thing is that when they got mad, they started putting us in prison, chopping us up, and just straight up killing and hanging us. So we became the minority due to murder and being slaves. But in all reality, as far as the whole entire world is concerned, we're the majority, and they've actually been doing a lot of things lately to try to lower that, you know. But that wasn't the reason why I created this video. The thing that got to my mind is that David Duke is a very hateful person, and he comes up with weird, random, useless statistics that you can actually disprove. Like, he was talking about how black people are genetically supreme in some areas, where white people are supreme in other areas. One being superior strength, like the weightlifting competition in the Olympics, which he obviously did not look at the black Yahudim vegan guy, who actually is now the strongest man in the world. And he's not the only black man that made it to the strongest man in the world either. But why I'm worried and why I'm thinking, I'm wondering, are we becoming more like David Duke? Are we becoming more hateful and coming up with more thesis to divide and to be angry and to be hurtful? Are we becoming that which we despise the most. It's quite prevalent in history that when you're hated and hurt and you're twisted so much that you actually start becoming like the one who was dark to you, or who was oppressive to you. It is a trait of I'm not going to say hypervigilance, but it's more so like a PTSD type syndrome, where now it's your tool for retaliation or vengeance, if you will, to deal with people the same way that you were dealt with. And quite frankly, I don't like that. And I don't want my nieces, I don't want them to think like that. And it's a weird thing, because it's hard not to let them think like that when you're in a world where they come home and they say some stuff and you're like, what the heck? Who taught this to you, and why are you saying that? And it's all directed towards self-hate. And you gotta make it accurate, and you gotta tell them the right things without causing them to reverse the whole entire thing that was put onto them. But sometimes even the information, no matter how accurate it is, it can give the illusion of you yourself being a supremacist as well. More so prejudice, or racially prejudiced. You see, I'm not one of those people that believe racism or racist is a bad term, because the racist means that you are there was this Muslim guy I heard say it, and ever since then I love what he said. Basically, you never hear anybody say anything bad about a scientist, man proficient in science, a chemist, man who is educated in all things chemical, electronic person. This wish he was called that, but a technologist or meteorologist. All these guys are proficient in a specific area, and you can go to them about anything knowing about that subject. So racist to me is a man that is proficient in understanding his people. You know, a person with racial prejudice is a man proficient in hating people of other races. And mind you, it was a German guy who created the term race. Before that, we were all just people. And you would hear terms in history like Moor and all those other things to call us mudmen and stuff like that, by those who, after a certain time, bound together and started becoming more focused on power by differences. You know, but those differences have always been around for years, and it was by them, they made it a more of a tool against us. They made us animals, they made us cattle. We were not on their level, even though history has a lot of things to show that we provided as a whole to the world. I mean, plumbing and soap and science and technology. Even when you hear that they started something, we tend to be the innovators of that field. Well, as time goes on, well, we used to, before we started lusting over entertainment and stuff like that. Now, it's a wonder if we'll ever get that way again. You know? But truly, wholly, wholeheartedly, that disgust for other people is something that we need to be careful that you don't become the image of that which you hate the most. And make sure that you understand you don't hate a group of people, you hate a theology. And David Duke is something else, man. He just attacked the guy who played Captain America and took a picture of photos of all his exes to show that he hates his own race. And these are things that black people are duplicating. They don't know the history. They don't know about CASA, which is why people call themselves Latino and Hispanic. That this is a race category equivalent to the race category in India, in which there's a hierarchy of a people, meaning some people have worth and some people not so much. And if you are considered a child of a black man, not so much. But if you're descended from a white guy, then you receive the special treatment and you were viewed as upper echelon. And that right there, historically, in case people know, that's from the Umayyad Caliphate. That's from the 1300s, where the Muslims took over Galatia. Galatia is where the biblical Lats were. That's where the Latin language came from. I have absolutely no clue what the Roman language was before the Lats, but I mean, sometimes I wonder if the Lats took over the Romans or what, because it's very difficult to find true original information about Rome. But the Lats are what Galatia was all about, and there's a lot of terminology like the mulatto and things of that nature that occur in part due to the Galatians, but that was a part of Rome. And the Moor of the Moor of Mecca traveled south and east, went to China, and went to Ethiopia, went to Yemen, and went to all those nations and conquered one by one all the Yehudim allies and force converted them to Islam. Now, the saddest part of this was the Yehudi queen of the land that they now call Morocco was beheaded by her own people who lusted over greedy things. And all those people went into Galatia and took it over. And right after this happened the Barbary slave trades and the transatlantic slave trade and the Spanish Inquisition. All that stuff happened back to back years later. And it's just a sad thing, man. But they'll tell you they were conquered by the Arab. But the thing is that it's not Arab, it's Arab or Ara. And it's just over a period of time the word changed to be Arab. You know, some use a V, some use an AU, but the word itself only means mixed tribe. Doesn't mean mixed race, doesn't mean mixed color. It means mixed people on the boundaries of clan. That means a group of clans just stayed in the same place, and they took claim to different areas. Eventually, they intermarry and things like that. But the thing is that the nutrition and the region, these were dark races. These are dark peoples. They ate meats. They had a full display of grain and vegetables when there wasn't a drought season. And these people were able to were in the sun. They were in heavy sun at all times. If they weren't sleeping or in their huts or in their in their standard homes. So they were black. It wasn't until the intermingling and intermarriages of the people of Caucasia and Circassia and what they call Scandinavia. I mean, they're still here or there, but until you started intermarrying in the regions where people didn't have high carotenoids and they didn't have enough sunlight to be able to retain pigmentation in their body, limit the aging process and stuff like that, that you started coming towards issue of color outside of the albino, which some people treasured. So, I mean, I don't know where the attitude and the hate is coming from, but the issue of color thing for the Spanish, the Portuguese, and the Turks, man, was on the basis of being conquered by somebody else. And it's almost like they never forgive them, much like Russia and how Russia acts today. They were only conquered primarily by one group of people a very long time ago and enslaved. And ever since that, everything is a pride thing for them. Everything that they do, they have to look the most superior. They have to be the stronger one. And it's when they realize that they can't do something about it that they just posture, flex and posture. And I mean, it's no different than what the hate groups in America do today. I mean, in Russia, they still call us niggers and all this other stuff. These hate groups today, they just got a new lease on life with Bannon and Breitbart and Donald Trump in office. And I'm not saying necessarily that Donald Trump is hateful himself. I mean, I'm not saying that directly, but look at who he's picking to back him. Look at who he's picking to help him. Regardless of anything, Jeff Sessions should have never had the position that he had after all these years, as hateful as he is. Tillerson should not have the position, or should not even have a chance or being the position with all the information that they got on that man. Bannon, the alt-right man, should not even have the position that he has. All these people have made a lot of things harder for Americans in general, much less women, much less people of color. But they're in their positions. Even during his run for Donald Trump, this man had his meetings, and now he's in the White House. These are sons of Jim Duke. These are friends of Jim Duke. These are brothers of Jim Duke. And now they have power. See, this is what we call systemic oppression. This is where it comes from. Because if you are a homeless man and you hate black people, it really means nothing, because you can't do anything to them outside of kill them if you're lucky to afford a gun. If you're a middle American, outside of voting for somebody who does us harm, you can't really do anything to a black man outside of killing them. You have no power. But when you can create laws, you can arrest people for ignorance and be able to blatantly lie if you're willing to be a witness for something that's a lie. If you are a person who is able to create media and educate us with falsity, like what Fox wanted to do a couple years ago, that they're going to do, because now that they got all these connections and these options for the next 4-8 years, they're going to do it in the classroom with your children. That's what you call systemic oppression or systemic supremacy. And the only way that anybody can do anything about it is to create either an interdependent system or to find a way to get rid of them out office. But the yelling, the verbal bashing, the representation of hating yourself, that's not cool at all. It doesn't benefit anyone. And I think that that's the problem. And that's my fear. I don't want to see my kids decide that they're not going to be something, or that they're going to do something because they listen to somebody else's YouTube videos, or they hear another black man being so angry and talking about how a white man is not genetically sufficient, or white men can't do this and can't do that because of their color. I mean, I don't want my kids to be like that. I don't want to represent that. I don't want to sit next to a person like that. There is no talking to a person like that. And if they have the same power that these people have, they'll do the same things they have done. You know, history will repeat itself by a different group of people. I don't want that to be, I don't want my kids to have anything to do with that. So, I mean, if you want your children to be that ugly, then by all means, continue your process. Far be it for me to stop you in your ignorance. But if you actually want your children to have a fighting chance, then do the right thing. I mean, you can have a culture and marrying within your people and say that you don't approve of them doing something and not hate. But when you talk about somebody genetically and all this other ignorance, man, what's the point? That's heartbreaking to me. Like, I've been in early childhood development courses. I've volunteered. I've worked in daycares and everything else like that. Even in my job, I see children on a daily basis, man. And I treat them all like they deserve to be treated because they're children. I don't look at a child that's Caucasian and say, I'm not going to hold you because you're white. I'm not going to say to look at a child and look down on a child who's Caucasian because they're crying or something and show malice to a child. I mean, what the heck is wrong with you people? I don't get it. Black or white, I can't deal with it. I wouldn't deal with you. You know, far be it for me to have my nieces with me and have their friends with me and treat their friends like crap on the basis of the color of their skin, or do them harm or try to poison them on the color of their skin. You know, this lady tried to drown these kids, man. And with her kids, with her, you can hear him in the video saying, kill these niggers. 2016. You're hearing this woman say, kill these niggers. And then the judge, knowing it's a hate crime, removes the hate crime off the table. That's the world we live in, man. That is supremacy. That is how oppression works. Systemic racial prejudice. And we got to come up with a solution that doesn't involve us hating people because of the color of skin, but rather dealing with those who hate with the same energy and they deserve, more so with education and interdependence on our side. And that's all, man. Don't become that which you hate. Do not be the image of that which is the epitome of evil. Be blessed, man.
Charging.